Medawalok diok. I know there's a couple Mi'kmaq out there. I'd like to welcome all of you to Mi'kma'ki, to the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq that we've all been enjoying together for about 500 years. And in tradition of the Mi'kmaq, I'd like to welcome you to all of Mi'kma'ki and welcome you with a chant that Sarah Denny of Eskasoni taught to many of us to sing whenever we gather. The drum and the drum beat represents the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And it also represents our mother, the language that our mother gave us, the first language all of us, you and I, have all known. And it's the language of the heart, and it's the language of truth, and it's the language that we can all speak and understand if we take the time to go back and speak from that first tongue. And this is a chant for all of those that are going to come after me up here, to ask all those who have gone before us to come and help us today. Guano de, guano de, guano de, guano danahi, guanalia, guano danahi, guanalia, guano danahi, guanalia, guano de. Guanalia, guano de, guanalia, guano da, hey. Ego, igane, ego, igana, guanalia, guano dana, hey. Guanalia, guano danahi, guanalia, guano de, guanalia, guano de, guanalia, guano da, hey. Deyoka, 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 guanalia, guano danahi, guanalia, guano danahi, guanalia, guano de, guanalia, guano de. Guanalia, guanoda, hey, hey, no, daho. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that we are all treaty people. You are and I am. I come from the Mi'kmaq Nation, and you come from the nation that signed the treaties with the treaty and then subsequent amended treaties of our ancestors, your ancestors and mine. And I think that when we ask, how is it that we are all treaty people, and if we are, have we been living up to the responsibilities that our ancestors promised so far ago? In 1752 was one of the several treaties that were signed. That was the Peace and Friendship Treaty. And then in 1761 until another, I think 1763, there was a few changes made, and the treaties of peace and friendship were to be followed and by both nations. If we don't know what the treaty says, what we promised, what our ancestors promised, then how is it that we can be living right relations today? How can we be living the treaty if we don't even know what it was had been promised? As a Mi'kmaq person, I've been very, very gifted and very, very fortunate to have Mi'kmaq elders. I was born and raised Mi'kmaq by Mi'kmaq parents, and my ancestors go back to the signing of the signatories of the Treaty of 1752, and they also go before that. So I've been very lucky to understand what our treaties are. And unfortunately, in my father and my great-grandparents and so on's time, they were unfortunate to understand what broken promises and treaties are and how trying to live our treaty and live up to our responsibilities is so difficult when the other nation that signed broke the treaties, broke the promises, and did not live up to them. However, today, with Justin Trudeau, our new Prime Minister, one of the first things he said was that he was going to live up to his promises that he made to many of us, many of our young people who decided to see if they could make a change today and vote. And they did. The First Nations made a strong effort, especially our youth who are. There was a time, and I think it's changing a bit, that 1 out of every 4 Canadians born today is First Nation in this country. And so with that kind of power, it really makes sense that all of us try to understand what those promises were, because the voting power of our youth will change the country, and it will make a better future. It will do good things for us. Only if they don't have to do what my ancestors and my dad and my grandparents had to do, which was challenge and hide and hunt at night and hide from the game wardens and constantly rebuild their hunting cabins because the game wardens burned it down. Trying to help their families survive through all of these years under this treaty that said we, the Mi'kmaq, are to be able to live the way we live, the way of our life, the way we'd lived over 13,000 years prior to the arrival of these new peoples, and the way we were to be able to live in peace and in harmony with our land into the future. So obviously there was a few things that I would say we shouldn't do when we're living our treaty. And those are, that's a long list, and pretty much you can find that list in the Indian Act. You can find it in a lot of policies and legislation that has happened in this country. And I don't think that we need to go back there. However, I do encourage you to teach about the past and be brave about the past and acknowledge the past, and let us tell our stories of the past, because we have stories that nobody has. Telling our story and the power of telling our stories about what we were taught by our ancestors is equally as important as the stories that were told by those who arrived here just 500 years ago and on. So I say we are all treaty peoples, but how do we live that? We don't live it by putting children in residential schools. We don't live it by separating us into two communities. We don't do it by stopping us from singing and speaking our language and living our life. We know that didn't work, and it didn't work, but in all adversity, the Mi'kmaq have survived. And one of the greatest ways and medicines that we've had to survive is our laughter. We've been able to laugh no matter what was happening to us. So This slide my sister did. The previous slide my brother Michael painted, the painting of Mi'kmaq. And so I'm kind of bragging. And so this is a petroglyph, and it's a double curve motif. And my good friend Charlie Labrador told me that in order to live as a Mi'kmaq, Kathy, you need to live according to custom. And custom means living according to the law of the land. And the laws of the land are not laws that were given to us from men, from another country, from a colonialist worldview, and from a worldview and a place that did not fit on this land. This land, we lived according to the laws of the land, that the land speaks to us. It tells us when it's time to drive your car, not in a snowstorm. It tells us when it's spring, when it's summer. It tells us so many things about when to plant, when to swim, when to do this, when to fish, if we listen to the land. So living custom is living according to the laws of the land. And it's a lovely way to live. I've traveled on canoes from Newfoundland to Nova Scotia 10 years ago to reclaim our traditional path with Chief Michelle Joe. I've traveled with Elizabeth Panashaway just past summer in Churchill Falls to Muskrat Falls to reclaim and to put her stamp back on the waters and on the coastlines that are being destroyed by the impact of resource development. And during that time, I truly learned what the law of the land is all about. And you cannot go against the law of the land, no matter what you try. So how do you live this way? You don't. You live the way that you feel you should live. One of my good friends, Doreen Jensen from out west, she's passed on, but one of her greatest teachings that she received was when you approach a new land, just like when you approach a new home, somebody's home, they've welcomed you in, you remove your shoes, just like you would in a Japanese home. You remove your shoes and you walk in that home and on that land in a sacred way, and in a way that is respectful, and that means to learn the ways of that land. Now, luckily, we've had a few people that have kept some of those wonderful stories and traditions and ways alive for us. And I'm lucky that that beautiful, beautiful work and beautiful poetry like Rita Joe's, beautiful elders that I actually brought with me to help me out today, and I'm going to share a few of them. And why do I want to talk about them? Because I think if we remember the essence of these people, these were taken in 1930 or 32 by Frederick Johnston. He was hired to go around and take professional photos of 4 Mi'kmaq communities in this region. And they're very rare. We hardly have any of these photos. But I can tell you that these beautiful people, you just need to see their eyes, look at their faces, and they will tell you so much about the way to live, the way to be. These people are gentle men and gentle women, and they always have been, and they carried that since we existed. Some say 13 to 14,000 years, and my good friend Carrie Prosper feels that we were even around before the Ice Age. He has a few things to say. But how will we learn this? If we don't open our schools and change our curriculum and try to speak and learn the ways of this land, we can make a beautiful future for ourselves. When we listen to the elders, when we listen to those who have forgiven, all the residential school survivors, not all of them, but many, have practiced forgiveness. They have practiced the ways of humility, of love, respect, courage, many of our traditional values that we've all been raised with. And if there's anything that I've learned from the basket makers, those people that just laugh and laugh through all adversity, is that we must work together. We must work together to not only be in harmony with one another, but we as a people and as a universe, as a world, we need one thing, and that is to share. And that is the basis of Helen Martin, who is an elder, who told me when I went to Ottawa to the Meech Lake or the sign of the Constitution, I asked her, what would you say if you had to say something? She'd say, well, the basis of this country, this Constitution and this Meech Lake Accord should be on what the Mi'kmaq have always lived. We've shared. And that is the basis of how we are to govern. By sharing and by treating ourselves as family, everybody as family. I believe we've been doing that for over 500 years, and before that with the others that have arrived and left. We've done that. And I believe that it's time that we all learn about how it is that the other nation, the other signatories, can learn to live in that way to make a better future. And what it's all about in the end is the respect of Mother Earth, the respect of our air and our water. Because it doesn't really matter in the end, hopefully there won't be an end, it doesn't really matter what color we are or when we arrived. No matter where we are in this world, we are dependent on air and water. And Mother Earth has given us everything that we needed to survive. And just like your mother who nurtured you through the time you were in her womb, she gave you everything you needed to survive and then nurtured you after you came out. And when you have somebody like that, you shouldn't be destroying them. Shouldn't be kicking them and raping them and tearing out their hair and throwing dirt and oil and everything down their throats. That's not the way to treat our mother or our Mother Earth. So to me, all we really need to move forward and work and live as treaty people together, we just need the heartbeat, which we all have, and we need to talk and to build the relations, as Justin Trudeau said. It's time that we build new relations or build relations. And so, with that, I'd like to say thank you. I would like to honor all of us that are here today, and thank you for your time. Yo ya he ya he yo. Yo ya he ya he yo. Tahoe.